What is up, everybody? We are back continuing our team reviews. Today we are looking at the Las Vegas Raiders. Dad, not a team we're fond of as being, Charger fans, or I don't know if you're still a Chargers fan, but, the Raiders. It's fun to hate on the Raiders. We know a lot of Raiders fans. What do you expect from them this year? Last place in the division? Third place?
Yeah, they'd be lucky if they're 500. That's what I think. So, um, they got some fantasy assets that we'll go over, but as a team in general, I don't know. Did they really improve going from Derek Carr to Jimmy Garoppolo? Yeah, good question.
Yeah, I don't think it's as big of a drop off as everyone is making, but I don't think it's an improvement. That's for sure. And there is the risk of, we'll just get right into it. We'll start talking about the quarterbacks. I'll share my screen with you here. Again, we look at this mostly from a redraft point of view. We'll throw in some real life football, some dynasty stuff, and we play half PPR leagues mostly, so that's kind of the lens we look through. But you can look at it whatever way you want. You can apply this to whatever league you play in. And yeah, starting with the quarterback, it is Jimmy Garoppolo. Derek Carr last year goes to the Saints. They benched him the last couple of games. They weren't very happy with him or whatever, or wanted to move on, and made that clear. So now you bring in Jimmy Garoppolo, who reunites with Josh McDaniels. And I don't know. The question is, was it more San Francisco that made Jimmy Garoppolo look good, or is Jimmy Garoppolo a solid, top 18 quarterback or something? That's going to be the question that we're going to find out. From fantasy, though, I mean, is there really any appeal to Garoppolo in a one quarterback league? I don't think so. I mean, even as a backup, I don't know if I wanted to take Garoppolo. Do you feel the same way, Dad?
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't put up. The guy is a decent quarterback, and he's an accurate passer for the most part. In San Francisco, he didn't put up high volume numbers, and because they were mostly a running team. If Josh Jacobs ever comes back to the Raiders, I think that'll continue. But there's obviously not as many good players with the Raiders than there is with the 49ers. So he's just not a 300 yard a game type passer. But if he's sitting on my bench as my second quarterback that I got late in a fantasy draft, I think I'd be okay with that. So,
yeah, if you like to go the two quarterback route, maybe. I like to take a little bit more potential with my second quarterback, like get a consistent, solid player and like a Tua or a Cousins, and then maybe pick up like a Anthony Richardson or Bryce Young or something like that with a little bit more potential. But he will be there. Guys are going to get hurt. And Garoppolo is going to be – someone's going to start him and stream him for a week or something. Like, it's going to happen. And he has the ability to put up decent numbers against, especially if you have a good favorable matchup. So not really much else to say. I think what the good thing is about Garoppolo, though, is he can kind of make the offensive players relevant, which we're unsure about with, guys like Sam Howell and Desmond Ridder. We don't know. It's like, man, there's nice fantasy options on those teams, but can the quarterback make them all go? I think Garoppolo can do that, which is a good thing for the guys we're going to talk about next. Starting with the running back position in Josh Jacobs. This one's a little tough because Jacobs is kind of holding out right now, contract dispute. Is he going to be there? I mean, it's August 5th. So we're, a week or so into training camp and he's not there. It's starting to get a little nervous, right? Like if he misses all of training camp, even if he comes back for week one, the history shows like guys generally don't live up to where their ADP is, where they're getting drafted if they miss all of training camp. I think it's like 65% of them fall short of their ADP. So Josh Jacobs last year in a half PPR league was running back 3. He had a career year, led the league in rushing, caught the ball over 300, I think almost like 400 touches or something crazy. The guy was a huge part of the Raiders offense. Let's just assume he's going to be back, Dad. He'll have a couple weeks under his belt, is back for week 1. Where are you comfortable taking Josh Jacobs in fantasy drafts if he's back?
I don't know. 4th round, I know.
Whoa.
Yeah, I think he's going to get the carries.
Yeah.
If he's the thing is he there? Is he there? So
yeah, I was surprised because I was thinking like he's going to be gone by the 2nd round. If he's back, that is right. So you wouldn't want him in the 3rd or 2nd round even.
Yeah, I would do 3rd round. I mean, he's definitely an RB1.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to get the volume. That's the thing, and he catches the ball too. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
so
no, he's a good player.
3rd round, yeah, maybe late 2nd, I guess.
Yeah, I think you have. If you want him, you're going to have to take him in the mid to late 2nd. Just looking at where he's going, he's going 21st overall, which is the end of the 2nd round, RB9. So I guess it comes down to like, are you taking Derrick Henry or are you taking Josh Jacobs? Are you taking Tony Pollard or are you taking Josh Jacobs? Those are probably the 2 guys in front of him that you can make a case for him being ahead of. Any thoughts on that, Dad? Would you take him? Would you take Henry over Jacobs? Would you take Pollard over Jacobs?
I'd take Derrick Henry over Jacobs.
Yeah.
Pollard, I don't know. I think I would take Josh Jacobs over Tony Pollard.
Okay. So yeah, you're probably closer to not knowing the ADP off the top of your head. You're probably closer to a 2nd round pick with him. I like where he's going. I think it's a steal. And this is not so much due to the contract thing. This has kind of been all offseason where he's been projected to go here. And it's just like, man, if I could start my draft with like a McCaffrey or Chase or Jefferson and then get Josh Jacobs on the end, like, man, I'm excited about that. Starting off like Jamar Chase and Josh Jacobs, which is a realistic possibility here. So I think that's just a smash play. I think if he's there, there's no way they don't give him close to the same amount of touches as he had last year. It's like, why not? Right? I mean, why not? So, and this is back-to-back years where he's had 50-plus catches too. It wasn't just last year. It's always been a good runner, yards per carry, and he just finally got the touches, 340. He never had more than 270 in his career, so and he got 70 more last year. So that's a big reason why he had a career year. The backups, I guess we need to know their names because what if Jacobs is not there? I mean, there's Zamir White, Amir Abdullah has been around for a while, Brandon Bolden, who's on the Patriots for a while. Any of these guys, like if Jacobs isn't there, Dad, is it Zamir White you're most interested in?
Jeez, I guess so, but that's pretty weak backup room, if you ask me.
Yeah, not much. I mean, Zamir White was a 4th round pick last year. He has good size. He's 6 foot, 215. Went to Georgia. Like, yeah, maybe he can be the guy. Only had 17 carries last year. Like, he was nothing last year. It was all Jacobs. I don't know. If Jacobs isn't there, I see it more as like a 3-headed monster kind of, with maybe Zamir White getting the rundown carries and then Amir Abdullah and Bolden kind of catching passes. But you kind of have to keep it, if we get closer to the end of August and Jacobs isn't there, like, yeah, take a shot on Zamir White. Someone's going to run the ball for this team. Maybe they sign someone. I don't know. But I don't know. Not much else in the running back room. Pretty easy, the Raiders, in my opinion. It's pretty straightforward. Even when it comes to the receivers, you got Devontae Adams, obviously the wide receiver at 1 for this team. was a stud last year, despite everyone being a little nervous about not having, Aaron Rodgers throwing him the ball. And he responded by having 180 targets last year, which is insane. 180 targets, only caught 100 of those. He was being targeted down the field more than ever in his career. He had the highest yards per reception of his career by a pretty wide margin, by almost 2 yards. Caught 14 touchdowns, 1,500 yards. I've seen a lot of people getting worried about Davante Adams, Dad. Are you worried about Davante Adams at all? Do you think he's being drafted as a top 8 receiver? Do you think he's almost like a lock to be a top 8 receiver in fantasy?
I'm not worried about him. I didn't see anything to worry about. He's probably going to have 100 catches, 100 plus catches again. I just, I don't see the drop off, I don't see a drop off, or, I don't know whatever anybody's worried about or anything else other than, you got a decent quarterback who would get the ball to him. I mean, it's not terrible, but so I'm okay with Davante Adams.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's kind of crazy, like, that people are souring a little bit on him. Like, you can get him in the mid-second round, and again, I'm just thinking about the drafts where it's like, oh, I can start Travis Kelce and Davante Adams, or Austin Eckler and Davante Adams, or maybe Cooper Kupp and Davante Adams. Like, that's just really, really intriguing to me. A couple of things, like, people are worried about the age. He's going to play this season. He's going to be 30 years old. Basically, he'll turn 31 late in the season, but that's not where I'm not worried about the age yet. We've seen, really good receivers put up numbers in their age 30, 31, 32 season. Like Larry Fitzgerald, I think, led the league in receptions when he was 32 years old. Like, these Hall of Fame type of players, they can produce in their early 30s. They're not just going to fall off completely. I mean, Julio Jones did, and that's where I think people are a little concerned about. But Julio had a lot of injuries as well, and even in Julio's age 30 season, he had 1,400 yards, 100 catches. The other thing is Jimmy Garoppolo is not really the greatest deep ball passer, is what people are worried about. And that's where a lot of Adams' production last year came on. But my response to that is, if you go back and look at his, he's been like a top 3 receiver for like 5 straight years or something crazy. If you go back and look at, I think it's 2020 and 2021, Aaron Rodgers' MVP seasons where Davante Adams was like the wide receiver 1. He wasn't getting targeted deep very often. He had a very low average depth of target and didn't have many deep targets in general. So he kind of wins on all levels. He can be a deep guy. He can be a possession guy. We saw it last year. Jarrett Stidham came in. Everyone was worried about Davante Adams, and he had, I think, maybe his best game of the season last year was with Jarrett Stidham. I think he's kind of proven at this point. He's essentially quarterback proof. He can win by being a deeper receiver. He can win by catching 140 passes, not 140, like 115 passes. So that Jarrett Stidham game, he had 153 yards and 2 touchdowns, like one of his best of his season. So I think it's, the guys going ahead of him, Dad. So obviously Jefferson, Chase, Cooper Kupp, Tyreek Hill, Stephon Diggs, all those guys you're taking ahead of Adams.
I don't understand why Diggs. I mean, Adams should be right there, at the Diggs level.
Yeah.
And Tyreek Hill. I don't understand why Davante Adams is a second rounder, but that's fine. If that's where he sits, and you should be able to, if he's there with your second pick, second rounder, geez, You should have nailed it with your first pick. And then, like you said, Davante Adams sitting there, do it.
Yeah. I mean, there's even 2 more guys after Diggs. CeeDee Lamb and A.J. Brown are also being drafted over Davante Adams. So I'm kind of in agreement with you. Like, I'm fine with taking him. I'd probably take Jefferson, Chase, Kupp. As of now, we don't know about Kupp's injury. Cup Hill over him. But when it gets to Stephon Diggs, like if you want to take Adams, I'm okay with it. I really am. Like maybe I lean Diggs slightly, but they're both. People talk about the age for Adams. Like Stephon Diggs is just as old as him. Or I guess he's about a year younger. So, but the point is, like, I'm fine with right around where it gets to Stephon Diggs. I'd probably take Adams over CeeDee Lamb and AJ Brown, honestly. And I've even seen drafts where Garrett Wilson and Amon-Ra St. Brown are going over Adams, and I just think it's kind of crazy for that to happen, in my opinion. So, any interest? We got a decent receiving room. Jacoby Myers has proven to be, a solid PPR wide receiver 3 flex guy. Hunter Renfrow had a good year 1 year. Any interest in these guys at all? Do you think they could be flex worthy or just kind of bench spots? And
maybe Myers. Head coach was his offensive coordinator in New England, so he knows the guy. He wanted the guy. They got him in free agency. Hunter Renfrow, I'm not sure what the problem. I heard he was on the trade block in the off season. I don't know why he doesn't get a little more love. I guess it's just I think people want some consistency. They don't. I think Renfrow could give it to you, but it just seems like, it seems like it's not there.
Yeah. I think you're right, and Jacoby Myers is interesting because again, like he's going 147th overall, which we're getting to like you're essentially free territory, right? I mean, we're talking that's round 13, I think. That's where you start looking at defenses and stuff like that. And he's just a solid player, and I think he could be a solid possession receiver for Garoppolo. I mean, last year, Jacoby Myers had a solid year, 67 catches, 800 yards, 6 touchdowns. In half PPR, he averaged 10.5 points a game. That was 0.2 less than DK Metcalf. That was 0.1 better than Michael Pittman. That was 0.2 better than Christian Watson. 0.3 better than Garrett Wilson. Jacoby Myers was averaging more points than Pittman, Christian Watson, Garrett Wilson, Marquise Brown, DJ Moore. He missed 4 games, it looks like, which is part of the reason why he didn't, he finished as wide receiver 28. I just think he could be a solid wide receiver 3 again this year. And even in 2021, he had very similar numbers. He finishes wide receiver 33, so just outside, he's a wide receiver 3 in that range. But he didn't catch any touchdowns. That was the big thing with him, was not catching touchdowns. So I don't know. I just think he could be a very solid flex guy, spot starter, and maybe he can get to that wide receiver 3 level. As far as Renfrow, I don't know. I think having Jacoby Myers kind of hurts Renfrow a bit. I don't know what the deal was last year. I mean, Renfrow only had 330 yards, played in 10 games, it looks like.
Yeah, he was hurt. I know that.
Yeah, but he played in 10 games, so I don't know. I guess he just doesn't fit the McDaniels offense or something. I don't know. I'm not really super interested in Renfrow. To me, it's these two, Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers, and that's really it. And then any interest in the tight ends at all? Austin Hooper is there. Michael Mayer, the rookie. If you had to choose one of those, Dad, are you just going to lean the rookie for the potential, or Hooper, hopefully he gives you a decent...
Yeah, if we're talking about a redraft league, I'm sorry, there isn't much there. Michael Mayer was, supposed to be the best tight end in the draft. So, I mean, he could, again, you got to, do rookies start producing from day one? Yeah, usually not. So, but by the end of the year, this guy could be something, So
Yeah, definitely. And what's nice about Mayer and why he was considered maybe the best tight end, complete tight end, was that he can block. He was a really good blocker. And that's going to get you on the field. If you can block, you're going to get on the field. That's why a lot of rookie tight ends don't succeed, is because they have to learn how to block first, and so they don't put them on the field. Mayer, he could have that. He could be a really good blocker already, and that's going to get him on the field. And if you're on the field, you can flash. So I do think Mayer's going to have a couple. There's going to be a couple weeks there where it's like, oh, Michael Mayer, maybe I'll pick him up when my tight end's on a bye and start him maybe near the end of the year. We saw it last year. Trey McBride had a couple weeks where he flashed as a rookie. Greg Dulcich flashed as a rookie. Chiga Okonkwo flashed as a rookie. Daniel Bellinger flashed as a rookie. Isaiah Likely, another guy. None of these guys were good for the entire year, but they had a couple weeks there where you could get some value out of them, and that's kind of what I see for Mayer. Not really interested in Hooper. I mean, I think he's an okay tight end. He's good for an NFL team, but his fantasy years, I think, are past him. So not very interested there. Pretty easy, I'd say, for the Raiders. One of our shorter episodes. We're out on Garoppolo. Assuming Josh Jacobs is there, we really like the value of him, getting him at the end of the second round. Devontae Adams, we like that he's dropping because that means we can pick up 2 stud receivers or a top flight running back in like an Eckler or a Bijan, and then get potentially a guy that can finish wide receiver 1 in Devontae Adams, or at least a top 3 guy. Jacoby Myers, decent value, and then not much else there. So any last words on the Raiders, Dad?
Nah, they suck, and I hope they suck all year, but
yeah. We know a lot of Raiders fans. We're kind of Chargers fans, so maybe we're a little biased, but we like some of their fantasy guys. So we're gonna finish up there. As always, like the video, subscribe to the channel. We'll be back with so we have 3 straight AFC West teams in Chiefs, Raiders, and then the Chargers. So we'll catch you guys next time with the Los Angeles Chargers.